What's up guys, happy Friday. Check out, again, another t-shirt for you this week. This is from my Damn Strong apparel, which will be releasing soon. I don't know what I'm doing, I'm getting all excited. And this is one of, which I think is gonna be one of my most popular t-shirts. So everyone knows what Trend is. If you're listening to this fucking video, you will know what Trend is. Decided to put a little thing on it and call it Trend. And I've worn this t-shirt out heaps, and when I'm walking through, you know, like a shopping center or something like that, I'll see guys like pointing and laughing, and I'm thinking, what the fuck's this guy like laughing at? And then, you know, I think he notices my face, like, what the fuck are you pointing at? And then he like kind of gestures at my t-shirt with the Trend. I'm like, ah. And as shit, you know, I was walking around a while ago, this is maybe a couple of months ago, because I've had this one for a little bit now, and I was testing it out, and like 5 or 6 men like were giggling and chuckling at this t-shirt. Even a couple of women as well saw it and thought that's fucking funny. Then I was at a competition as well, a bench competition with one of my lifters, and I got a photo from my friend Matt Gawley, and he was like, that is a fucking great t-shirt, and it's this one but in white with black writing, and I'm just in the background looking all mean because I'm focusing on what's going on, and it just says Trend, and I was like, that's fucking awesome. Actually no, I gate crashed a video, photo bombed a video. I photo bombed a photo. So there's all these girls lined up, smiling, like looking all pretty and Instagram modeling and shit. And then there's just me in the background with my Trend thingy on, looking like I have a fucking big hobo beard on, just like staring, like focusing and staring in the background. That far look pretty good. So yeah, so that's the story of my Trend t-shirt. I love to fucking go on little rants. My lifters always say to me, you just fucking, as soon as you get going, your brain just goes down this highway. But anyway, I got a message the other day asking about back exercises. Yeah, Jack, what exercises would you give for someone who has a weak back in the squat? And I was like, what do you mean weak back in the squat? You know, like I keep kind of getting rounded through my upper back, like it feels like my weak link. And I was like, okay, like what have you been doing? Been doing the normal stuff, right? Bent over rows, dumbbell rows, all of that jazz. And I was like, what do I do with myself and my lifters when I see someone with a weak back in their squat? What I'm going to give you today is 5 exercises that you wouldn't actually think strengthen your upper back or your back as a whole when squatting, right? So, and I'm just going to start from number 1, which is one of my favorite fucking exercises of all time, is the lying prone row machine that I like to use. You can do this with dumbbell as well. I use it with dumbbell for a long time, really liked it. And then I bought the lying T-bar row machine, I think it's also called as well. I call it the lying prone row machine. It's fucking great exercise, right? You don't really have to stabilize at all, because again, you're laying on the padding, and I like to use neutral grip, and I just go ham and just really focusing on lengthening my arms as far as I can go, and then a little bit of extension through that thoracic spine, pulling up, squeezing as hard as I can, shoulders together, shoulder blades squeezing together as hard as I can. And it's just an exercise that you can either go, you know, for hypertrophy specific work, you can hit sets of like 8 to 12, and then you can even go to like, if you really want to do like heavy sets of 6 and stuff like that. And because there's like the machine itself is stabilizing for you, as in like you don't, like think of a barbell where you have to stand there and lean over and brace, and a lot of people can't load up weight because their lower back takes a beating. With the lying prone row machine, if you're looking to just get straight girth on your back, like just put slabs of like muscle on and get a nice thick back, which is one thing that you definitely need. I say one of my mottos is big back, big everything, because the back is used across all exercises, squat, bench, deadlift, anything that you can think of, your back is always there, right? It's like a girlfriend, she's always fucking there no matter what you do. or boyfriend, I'm not sexist. So the lying prone row, sets of 8 to 12, you know, or anything from like 6 as well, fucking, I should say 6 to 12, depending on what you're trying to do. If it was to strengthen your upper back, again, I personally I'm a big fan of 8 you know, 8 is just that sweet spot for me. So I'll get like 5 sets of 8 in, just fucking rowing the shit out of it, getting a sick upper back pump. So that is the first exercise. And probably people will think, hold on a minute, I know that exercise. I know, I get it. But the line prone row is just one that I would do every single day. Like I would pick it over pendlay row, I'd pick it over barbell row, purely because like you're eliminating a stability factor, so you can load up more weight, and the risk of injury is so much lower as well, man. So I would do it for squat, benching and deadlifting. Like I say, big back, big everything. The next exercise, again, an exercise that people wouldn't really think about strengthening their back, is a good morning. So you think about it with a squat, right? You don't want to be in this rounded position. You want to be in this nice neutral spine. So as you squat down at a slight angle, you squat back up and stand tall. You don't want any kind of flexion or too much extension of the spine. A good morning is fantastic for that. I like to use a safety squat bar just because of my shoulders. It feels a lot nicer for it. And what I might have to make sure I do is I've got to squeeze my shoulder blades together and down, hold a brace, and then hinge without allowing myself to go into any flexion. So I have to keep a rigid upper back. I need to keep a rigid lower back as well, so it works both my brace and my upper back, i.e. my whole torso, keeping it in that stable position, right? A nice rigid position back and forth. And most people, right, you put like 10 kilos on a side if you've never done it before, and people are like, what the fuck, this is like killing my, well, I just can't do the fucking weight, to be honest with you. Most people just like, fuck, that's hard. Especially when you try to get them to go lower and lower and lower, really pushing that range. They're hitting their lower back, they're hitting their glutes, they're hitting their hamstrings as well. And I did a good mornings, like I've just been doing them for years and years. I'm not great at them with weight wise. I don't use them to load up a shitload of weight. I use them more as a, like a stability position exercise. So you can put them like, you know, midway through your exercise or right at the end of your whole training day, and just make sure that you're getting a brace, shoulders are together and down, same position as you would want in the squat, or you can use it with a straight bar as well. And as you're hinging, you're keeping this nice rigid torso position, the exact same one, or that, you know, the exact same rigidity that you want in the squat. You might be going through a different range, i.e. hinging versus squatting straight up and down, but at the same time, your whole torso needs to be rigid. So it's an exercise that people overlook, and they try to fucking load up the weight on it, and they don't need to. Quick story, because I like to go off on my side things. I knew this guy probably, what, 3 years ago, maybe 4 years ago now. His name was Mitch. Fucking loose cannon. He's the type of bloke that you'd go out with, and you'd be going for a quiet night full of beers, and you'd like look around at fucking 3 o'clock in the morning, and there's like cocaine on the table, hookers around there, and you're just absolutely blind drunk, as well as off your fucking face on MDMA, and he's completely fine because he's just not quite there. He's that type of bloke, right? Fucking sick gear all day, every day. Doesn't matter if he blows out, he's gonna keep going. And he loaded up on a straight bar like 190 kilo good morning. And it was the complete opposite of what I was saying in regards to rigidity through the spine. He was just like, and then just used his lower back and his erectors just to basically, well, good morning, a fucking 190 kilo movement. It was fucked, but at the same time impressive, going, dude, what the fuck? And he's just like, I just wanted to do it. And I was like, cool, do your thing. But yeah, good morning is another exercise in terms of rigidity through the whole torso that you can use to replicate and carry over into the squat itself, especially if you're someone that's new to squatting, or if you're someone that's advanced. Again, same thing, you still need to keep a rigid upper back, and you can like build your lower back really well. You can build your glutes really well and your hamstrings really, really well by using this exercise. The second one, and the third one, the rules are exactly the same. Romanian deadlift. So Romanian deadlift, stiff leg deadlifts, straight leg deadlifts, like all the same thing. When I'm looking at it from through my lens, is I'm going, okay, I'm looking for a rigid torso from the base of this guy's neck or girl's neck all the way down to their hip joint, at the top of their hips. I want to see rigidity through that full range, right? So they can teach themselves, okay, I need to brace this hard, I need to keep my shoulder blades together together and down, more in depression and retraction, and making sure that you're not rounding over or flexing through the spine. Romanian deadlifts are great, man. Like, again, you can load them up a little bit more than a good morning, in my opinion, especially if you can get some straps on your hands, because you're not caring about grip at this point. You know, sets of 10. I like sets of 10 on that, with sets of what, like four sets. And again, the load can change depending on, the load only changes, right, with the good morning and the Romanian deadlift, as long as you can keep this rigid torso. Right, if you start to get about halfway down and then you see this start to happen, like, pull the weight back by 5 kilos, and don't start, like, when you're ready to go up weight, don't start throwing on like 10 kilos. So I start with like 2.5. And the great thing about these is you can pause at the bottom of the rep. You know, you can tempo on the way up. Heaps of different ways that you can strengthen your upper and lower back without doing the barbell rows or the pull-ups or anything like that, whilst I still think they can be in your program. From strengthening your upper back from a, strengthening your upper back in the squat from a positional point of view, as well as a strength, I like these exercises. So Romanian deadlift is the exact same as the good morning in terms of how you want to keep that nice rigid torso moving through range. And then we move on to wide grip seated row. Fucking, a lot of people like to pull very narrow and close, right? So what I find the limiting factor here is you can't get that nice squeeze, especially if you've got a good, like, juicy pair of lats. You're quite thick through the chest and arms as well. You can only really get to a range, and you just can't get that proper squeeze. The reason why I like wide grip, and I like wide grip neutral rows, you can get a nice long stretch, and then as you pull, you can really open up that chest, come wide, and wrap your shoulders around the back of you. You're hitting your rear delts, your rhomboids, you'll hit some lats depending on how high or low you pull. If you want to hit a bit more of the upper back, you'll pull to a little bit more of the sternum area. If you want to hit a little bit more lat in there, you can pull closer to the belly button, just below the belly button. As you reach as far as you can, you're going to spread that back nice and wide. You're going to stretch those muscles out, and as you're pulling through, you've got a greater range to work within, because you can stick your chest out and you're not getting blocked up by this bit here. You can only go so far because my forearms and my wrists start to touch my chest, right? Versus here, I can go as wide as I can and really stretch my chest out, pull back through until the bar touches me. And for most people, the bar, they won't even be able to get the bar to their chest because they can't stabilize in that range. So there's another element that they get to work within. You know, and I like to throw on, again, I like that sweet spot of 8, but I would say anywhere from like 6 to 10. If you're looking for a bit more hypertrophy, like 5 sets of 10 on this. I love to just, with back work, I think volume is key to building a nice big back, and then you supplement later on in your program like sets of 6 when you're in a strength block, just trying to strengthen that back. And again, like 6 sets of 6, 7, 8 sets of 6, do it back, because it's such a, there's a lot of muscles that create the whole back. They can be targeted very frequently because you can pull within different ranges, really targeting different muscle groups inside of the back itself. So yeah, wide grip seated row, keep the sets quite high, like 5 sets of 10 if you're doing hypertrophy. Even if you are doing hypertrophy, like, you know, 6, 7, 8 sets of 6 will hit with enough volume, as well as you can put on a shitload more weight as well, and just watch that back thicken up. You can just, when I'm thinking back, I'm thinking, okay, rowing, a lot of fucking rowing. I'm not a huge fan of like pull down variations to build a nice big back. I'm a fan of like rowing movements, creating just some slabs of meat on there. And then the final one is a machine row. The machine row is, again, depends what machine you have, but I'll put a video up now of the machine row that we have. And as you can see, as I'm gripping the machine itself, I got to keep a little bit of extension through my spine. I've got the chest supported, I should have said chest supported machine row. So I'm supported by that, and I can pull nice and low, really opening up my chest, pulling with my shoulders and back, right, the back of my shoulders, those rear delts, and squeezing as hard as I can, making sure that my shoulder isn't rounding forward, and that way I'm really hitting my lats. I think this is a great machine. If you have one at your gym where you can replicate it in some way, using this exercise to really target those lats and that sort of like mid-trap area, and hitting it for volume, like again, sets of 10 is great for this. It's basically the same as the wide grip seated row. You can do a shitload more sets and a fuckload more weight because the machine is stabilizing you. And that's why I prefer to hit my back using machine loaded exercises versus barbell loaded exercises, because a lot of them rely on you being able to stabilize under heavy load. For a lot of people, they just can't fucking do it. Me being one of them. Like if I wanted to barbell row like 120 kilos, I can't do fucking 5 sets of 10 with 120 kilo barbell row without cooking my lower back, and not even in a good way. Just the fact that it's just rounding out so much. You know, eventually my shoulders are rolling forward and I'm doing this weird little fucking wrist thing here. Whereas with a machine, you can load up the weight, and because if you're chest supported or you're sitting down, you can just load up that motherfucker and get in a shitload more sets and reps. And then again, like higher volume that you can put in there, more potential to build more muscle from a hypertrophy standpoint. From a strength standpoint, again, I believe you can load up more weight as well. So those are my 5 exercises that you probably wouldn't think of to help build your back. And the good morning and the Romanian are ones in there where people go, oh, that actually really makes sense, because it might not be from a strength point of view, it might be from a stability side of things first. I need to get more stable, you know, torso, so I need to learn how to brace and keep my upper back rigid together, and then strengthen that position inside of the squat itself. Or you might be like, okay, I'm doing all these barbell rows and pendlay rows and pull-ups and shit like that, the stuff that I think and have seen works on YouTube, versus going, you know what, if I need a stronger, bigger back, what's gonna allow me to do the most amount of sets, the most amount of reps, the most amount of weight without cooking other areas of my body that doesn't need to be cooked, and one that I can do on a more frequent basis. Like you've got lying prone row or T-bar row, wide grip seated row, and the machine row just there. You know, that you can do that 3, 4, 5, 6 times a week, depending on how, like the variations that you want to do with them. And the same thing applies where you can just do shitload more reps, shitload more sets, add a fuckload more weight on them, and just build a nice strong back. If you supplement in good mornings Romanians to help with that rigid torso, and then practicing the squat with like pause squatting, tempo squatting, even your low bar squatting, you've got a winner. So those are my 5 exercises that you wouldn't think strengthen your back, but really do. Ones that I use again and again and again. If I see someone whose upper back is weak as fuck, those are the exercises that I'm giving them on a high frequency because they can handle it. If you have any questions, comment below. As always, subscribe to the channel. I'm putting out videos every single week on a Friday. You can find me at Black Dan Barbell on both Facebook and Instagram. You can find me at Jack_F Delaney on Instagram as well. I'm pretty sure that's it. But like the video. I'm trying to deal with an algorithm here to boost me up. Always subscribe, that boosts me up. And I'll speak to you next week.